Hello, beautiful souls. Namaste. I am driving, so I was just watching a few snippets on the Charlie Kirk stuff, and had this quick download. Christians are seeing this as a celebration of faith. I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit. What we're looking at is the different perspectives going on here, okay? Because the whole point of this tragedy, because it's a tragedy when anybody is murdered in cold blood, whether it be someone you've never met, a homeless person, a prostitute, a politician, a child at school. Senseless taking of life is a tragedy, period. Okay? For Christians, this is a sense of celebration of what, and this is what I'm seeing in general online, okay? In the world, is that Christians are propping this man up. Now, whether we think, I don't even want to say it that way, whether we agree or disagree with his viewpoints, what his viewpoints were, is irrelevant. Christians see this is a man who was a God-fearing man who publicly proclaimed his Christian faith, and there's a sense of martyrdom because he was assassinated in public, presumably because of his beliefs. The other side that I'm hearing are people are upset and frustrated because this should be about being able to voice your opinions without the fear of retribution, without the fear of some crazy person coming out and shooting you dead for having a different belief, no matter how crazy that belief is. So it's an assault on our right to speak freely. I think in the vibe that I'm getting from this, if you come at it from a spiritual perspective, that everything happens with purpose and with meaning, even the hard stuff, even the ugly stuff, even the tragedies, it can become, we can view it as something horrible and not learn from it, or we can use that as an opportunity to try to understand and learn going forward. This is not about who's right, who's wrong. This is about understanding the importance of learning how to respect each other. I'm going to park really quick. Hope this is going to be a short video, the message. This is about learning how to respect each other. We need to understand that, first of all, having a basic understanding of human psychology is helpful. But let me break it down in case you don't. Everyone has their own viewpoints on life, and those viewpoints are shaped by several things. They're shaped by a person's upbringing, if they were raised in a particular political environment, if they were raised in a particular religious environment, what they're exposed to or not exposed to, social media, news, media in general, TV, cultural values, all of these external factors tend to contribute to how someone sees the world, and therefore it shapes their viewpoints. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It's just to give you an understanding of why people think the way they do. Now, it is my belief that when you're on a spiritual journey and you're becoming self-aware and you're beginning the healing process, you start to see the world very differently. You're seeing things from a higher perspective. That doesn't mean you're better than other people. It just means you're seeing things more from the lens of source, from God, than you are from everyone else's perspective on a 3D level. What do I mean by that? When we're in our human form, everything, because we're in a physical reality and we're experiencing everything, we're having feelings and things are happening in our lives, it can be very easy to forget that we're actually divine beings and that there is purpose in everything that we experience. So, when you are looking at it from the eyes of source, from God, you're seeing it in a little different viewpoint, and you're understanding that everything happens with purpose and with meaning. And that takes some of the sting away when hard things happen. It also allows you to be able to see the human condition more clearly, with more compassion. So, when we go into conversations with people, when we go into debates with people, most of the time, most people are going in with the intention of trying to prove to the other person that, I'm right, you're wrong, and I'm going to convince you of that. That's what people do. They go into it because in their head, they know their stance is the right thing, and their goal is to convince the other person to believe the way they believe. You see it in religion, you see it in politics, you see it everywhere, even in just life, because that is the human condition, is the ego. The human ego is, I'm right, you're wrong. And that's an unhealed ego, by the way. Where we need to get as a society, and the main lesson that we're supposed to be learning from this tragedy, is that we should not be seeking to prove right and wrong. We should be seeking to understand. People on all sides have opinions because they're personally affected in some way, shape, or form. And they're passionate about it because it affects them. And so what we should be doing is trying to understand the why. Why are you passionate about this? Why do you believe this way? And then open your mind and your heart. That means shut your mouth and listen, but not with the intent to hear what they're saying and then immediately turn it around to argue it and debate it and prove that they're wrong. But you already know your stance. Take a step back and listen to other people and what they're saying. Listen to their viewpoint. Try to understand why they're coming from that viewpoint. Because typically speaking, when we're debating issues, the issues arise because we can't agree on things. We're never going to be able to fully 100% agree on things. But it's not about left and right, or, conservative, liberal, left, right, wrong. It's about seeking to understand so we can come to have compassion for each other, have understanding for what do humans want? We want to be respected. We want to be heard, understood, loved unconditionally, and respected. That's our fundamental core that we want. When we're passionate about issues, we want people to hear us out. I want you to listen to me because I've had personal experiences and I want you to understand why I'm coming from where I'm coming from. And then I'm going to do the same for you. And then we're going to take that information. We're going to have empathy and sympathy for each other. We're going to have compassion for each other. And we're going to say, okay, now that we know where we both stand on this issue, how can we reach a solution that works for everybody? How can we compromise to make sure we find a solution that addresses everybody's concerns in a fair way? That's what we should be seeking for. And that is the lesson that I think we're meant to learn here. This isn't about, I mean, it is about, okay, let me retract what I'm about to say. For Christians, this is about people being able to stand in their faith without fear of persecution. Standing boldly. I know that Charlie Kirk at some point had to acknowledge that there was danger in what he was doing, because being a Christian, you are going against a lot of other beliefs, and it is a religion that basically says what I believe is right and what you believe is wrong, and I want you to believe the way I believe, so I'm going to tell you this. That's most religions, right? So what he was doing was very provocative. He was going around to very liberal campuses, and he was trying to convince people to believe the same way he believes through debate and through trying to trigger people to think. I have my own disagreements with that, but Christians are celebrating the fact that he was bold to do that and that he was standing bold in his faith. And I admire that, because that is a hard thing to do, to have a faith, to have a belief, and to stand boldly. And it doesn't matter what side of the coin you're on, because typically speaking, when you're standing in what you believe to be truth, you're going to have people come against you. And in this day and age where there's a lot of spiritual warfare and mental health issues, you are putting yourself at risk every time you do that. And that's something I'm aware that I do too. I mean, I'm a nobody on here, but even I have that in the back of my head. So I know Charlie Kirk had the same thing going on in his head as well. But Christians are celebrating the fact that he was standing bold in his faith. Non-Christians are I don't want to say celebrating, because I don't mean it that way, but I'm saying, like, that's what they're standing on with this, is like, hey, this man died for his faith. We should all turn to God and Jesus. And that's kind of what I'm seeing from the Christian side. From the non-Christian side, I'm saying, hey, this is atrocious. No one should be publicly executed for having beliefs and for, wanting to have debates with people. So what I'm seeing is a lot of unity. But what needs to happen is a coming together and the understanding of the purpose and what we can learn from what happened. Because we, as a world, as people in the United States, as for America and all over the world, the thing that we struggle with is what I was just talking about, is being able to talk to each other without an intention of trying to be right. It's not about being right. It's about understanding each other. That is how we're going to be able to come together in unity and experience, what's the term, spirit? Sorry, it's early in the morning still. But I wanted to get this download before I lost it. Yeah, they're saying just back up. Okay. The purpose is just to learn how to respect each other and how to listen more, without an intention of being right and trying to convince people that they're wrong and that your way is right. It's to listen more and seek to understand, because that is the key of where we're going to find that magical union where people come together and are able to compromise and find real solutions to the real problems that we're experiencing in the world. Up until this point, I'm making a very bold statement. Up until this point, it's just been butting heads. Everything is about butting heads. I'm right, you're wrong. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. And no one can agree on anything. And let's not even get into all the agendas that get thrown in politics. Okay, we're not even going to go there. We need to stop doing things the way we've been doing it, because it's not working. So how can you make a change? If this is resonating for you and you're like, yes, this makes sense, how can you contribute to this? You start with yourself. Becoming self-aware. Every conversation you have with someone, if you're a religious person, every time you speak with someone who doesn't believe the same as you, don't go into it with a mentality of, oh, I need to prove they're wrong. I need to throw scripture at them. I need to do this. No, just listen. Jesus didn't have to convince people to believe in him. He lived the example. Be the example. Make the changes within yourself. That is like the message that comes through, and all the messages I deliver from Spirit is, be the example by healing, by becoming self-aware. Being self-aware means you're going to be conscious of your thoughts when you're having interactions with people, and that means you're going to be paying more attention to the things you say and the way you treat people. That's the point of being self-aware. And as you're doing this, you're positively affecting those people in your vicinity, whether it be your family, your friends, your coworkers, because they're probably not used to being treated with respect. They're probably not used to someone listening to them. So they're going to be like, whoa, this person's actually hearing me out. I can actually have a conversation with this person, and it's not getting heated and emotional. It's like they're actually listening to me. Now you're creating peace. You're creating a space for love to flourish. You're creating a space for ideas to be exchanged, for healing to occur. Oh my God, Spirit, that was woo. Sorry, guys. When I just said that, I just had my whole body tingle. You're creating a space for healing, restoration, and that is what's going to bring about change on this planet. Does that make sense? Ooh, I have to leave it there because that was so, like, my whole body's tingling now. We're going to leave it there. Wow. I'm sorry the first part of this message was a little all over the place, but I feel like that was a really strong ending, and I just want to let that resonate with people. I just want to let it simmer. So anyways, thank you so much for hanging with me this morning. I got to get to work, but I'm really excited. I feel like this message is going to, I feel the power in it right now that I didn't, like, it just hit me. And I'm very excited because I feel Spirit is moving in people right now. And that just, it makes me very happy because I can feel that energy and it feels so beautiful. So I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for joining me. And I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Namaste.